thanks for watching Numbskull News. And today, I want to talk about realignment. And we always refer to realignment as Pac-12 realignment, Big 12, ACC falling apart. But we never talk about the two big dogs, the Big 10 and the SEC. Now, the Big 10, I believe, is pretty safe just because of how they're set up. They're still innovative. They can get creative in what they do. The SEC is a little more stuck in the mud. And I think in the future, realignment could come for the SEC. But before I get to that, let me talk about this, this Colorado meeting. Not a whole lot's come out on it. I think MHVER3, they're the only ones that really kind of got a little ahead of the curve there. Regardless of what you think about the guy. Now, according to him, he says he has sources in the Big 12. So take that for what you will. Take it with a grain of salt. Still interesting, still fun to listen to. According to him, these people decided to give Kliavkoff until June to figure out what kind of TV deal or whatever. And in the meantime, they're going to work out all the legal stuff as far as moving to the Big 12. And that Brett Yormark is cool with waiting. So take that with what you will, but it seems logical. It doesn't seem like some big grandiose thing. But as I was saying before with the SEC and realignment, don't think that realignment can't come for these guys. What I meant before about the Big 10 being pretty secure, I don't think they'll ever lose teams. It's clearly expansion for them. And mostly the reason is because how they're set up. People have talked about, oh my God, Rutgers makes this much money, Maryland makes this much money, Purdue makes this much money. But the thing is, it's the markets and the academics, not just, the football brands that hold that thing together. In the SEC, it's not really about the markets, and it's definitely not about the education or the academic, profile. It's all about football on the field and the success they have, and it's monster success. That's what's given them the TV contract that they have. But they only have one way to make that money. They only have one thing that binds them together and makes that conference incredibly valuable. Now, that's awesome. That's awesome, but it's not, whenever the SEC does expand, and I expect them to eventually, they're not in a hurry to do so, but they eventually will. But they're not going to vastly expand their footprint. They're not going to go coast to coast. They don't care about being in different time zones. Right now, they're in the Central Standard Time and mostly on the East Coast time, and they're good with that. They don't need anything else. They're not trying to go to the Mountain Time Zone, Pacific Time Zone. They care less about that shit. Now, I know what you're saying. Now, what team would leave the SEC? And well, there's a few teams that could possibly leave one day, and there's only one place for them to go, obviously, and that would be the Big 10. So that kind of narrows down the teams, doesn't it? One team in particular, Texas A&M. Now, they do not appreciate, I guarantee you they don't appreciate that the SEC brought in Texas kind of behind their back, right? They kind of did it end around because they knew what Texas A&M would do. They knew they would vote no, and ultimately that's what they did. They were the only team to vote no on Texas coming in. And the fact that all this talk was going on behind their back, it just kind of jumped up out in the middle of nowhere. And don't think that A&M doesn't hold a grudge. They're very good at holding grudges, and they don't like that kind of shit. Do not be shocked. All right, don't be shocked. Their contract comes up, their grant of rights, their TV deal, and the SEC comes up in 2032. Would not be shocked at all. You find out somewhere around 2030, 31, that they're announcing that they're going to leave to the Big 10. And think about it, maybe the travel's a little more, but they'll be making a little bit more money because the Big 10 will always make a little more money than the SEC. It's just how that conference is built. It's built to make money, and it's built to make more money than the SEC. And they will always have more revenue streams because the SEC is very old school and they're very stuck in the mud. They don't like to change much. They don't feel they have to. they're making a shit ton of money. And to some points, that's their strength, and in other points, it's also a weakness. And in this case, A&M's only been in the SEC for what, 10 years or so? There's no loyalty there. They don't give a shit. And if you're going to do an end around on them, they're fine with going. And it's been said before that the Big Ten would love a footprint in Texas, and people keep pointing to, maybe TCU, possibly Baylor. Shut up. They got their eyes a little higher than that when it comes to Texas, and A&M would fit that profile beautifully, academically, on the football field, everything. I know they've been disappointing with Jimbo Fisher, but don't expect that to stay the case forever. This team has been killing it in NIL. They've been killing it as far as transfer portal, recruits 4 and 5 stars out the ass. They will turn that program around. They will be a factor in the SEC. Now, something that no one has talked about, the 2 new additions to the SEC, Texas and Oklahoma. This is a world of shit that the SEC has agreed to have come on board. And I don't blame them. These are monster brands. Texas is a huge brand, man. They're worth tons and tons of money. But they're going, they're going to play it cool in the SEC for a while. And I don't know what it would be. I have no idea. But as far as in business, Texas especially, there's a certain things they like. They like to have their say. I keep hearing guys like Paul Finebaum who have said, well, they're going to have to do things the SEC way. The SEC is going to have to bend a little bit for Texas and Oklahoma if you want to keep those schools. Again, there's a pathway right to the Big Ten in 2032 if you want to play some bullshit with them. They have no loyalty to you. They have no loyalty to anybody but themselves. Oklahoma will go where Texas goes. Now, they are incredible rivals on the field, but off the field, they're great partners. And they know they have something really special with the Red River rivalry that's worth millions and millions of dollars to any conference that has them. They know they are a cash cow for any conference that has them. So, if it's not A&M that leaves in 2032, it could be Texas or Oklahoma. Now, it wouldn't be because of A&M. All right, Texas doesn't give a shit whether A&M's there or not. However, I say it's a smaller percentage chance that they leave in 2032 or could leave ever in the SEC. But if the old guard of the SEC doesn't want to do things a certain, like I said, whatever the issue may come up, and trust me, some issues will come up. Texas and Oklahoma like to do business a certain way. And if they keep getting friction from the SEC with that, they'll have to make a decision. And trust me, they will hold your ass up a little bit. So as closer you get to that next TV contract, Texas and Oklahoma, if there's something that they want, if there's some kind of business move or whatever it is that they want to do inside the SEC, and the SEC is like, no, we're not playing that, they don't have a problem going up there and saying, look, we don't have to fucking stay here. We can take our ass to the Big Ten. So why don't you make a decision? And you have to look at the contract that in 2032. They can hold that damn conference hostage. Now, you may say, oh, they're making all the money. They'll make a lot more with Texas and Oklahoma in 2032. If you want to be able to maybe catch the Big Ten or even have a chance to in overall money, you're going to need Texas and Oklahoma to do that. They know that. They know in 2032, if you don't have Texas and Oklahoma, you're going to lose a lot, which means don't look for a gigantic bigger bump in 2032 without Texas and Oklahoma. They will get a bump, but not as much as you think they would get without those 2 programs. I mean, those 2 programs right now are making the SEC incredibly valuable. It's already incredibly valuable. But in 2032, that value can go up exponentially because of those, just because of those two programs. That's how much value they bring. So if there is something that they're wanting and these old stuck in the mud bastards in the SEC don't want to do it, and they're like, well, you can't strong arm us. We're the SEC. They'll say, okay, fine. We'll go to the BIG 10. Fuck you. We don't have to be here. They have options. As I said, nothing may come up. Or the SEC may say, hey, Texas and Oklahoma, that's a good idea. Let's do that. It may be all kumbaya. Don't know. But that's the one conference that could find its way in a little bit of trouble when it comes to realignment before their next TV deal comes up. As far as the big two conferences go. Now, anyone from the SEC will say, oh, that's bullshit. No. Of course they would. Of course they would. That's some of that SEC elitism. And they've earned it with all the championships they got. They've kind of earned the right to think that way. However, you need to start using your brain, pull your head out of your ass. Those three programs right there, they don't have the kind of loyalty that Alabama or LSU or Georgia have. Florida. No, they haven't been there forever. Especially with Texas and Oklahoma. Those guys are mercenaries. So they will go to the highest bidder. And even if there's no issue, if the Big Ten gets some kind of monster raise from where they are, or if they can offer something to Texas and Oklahoma that the SEC just can't, as I said, I don't know what that would be. But let's just say it's something to look out for in the future. Anyway, thanks for watching this crap. I'll be back with some other crap later. Bye.